Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Kenneth Price, and this is Wednesday, and this is November 30th. And this is going to be a very intimate Zoom call this evening because I'm here with my mighty companion, Jody. I just adore Jody. And it's just going to be the two of us unless somebody else shows up. But that's perfect because I've been hoping to get a one-on-one with her and get it recorded. This is our midweek Zoom call number 37 for the ministry. I'm hosting psychiatricsobriety.com. The topic of this, there's going to be a topic to this because I just got done with a very emotional movie. It was recommended by one of our members, Beloved. And the name of this movie is Words on a Bathroom Wall. And we're going to have a dialogue about this because this movie did more for me in one evening than his movie did a lot for me in one evening. All right, so psychiatricsobriety.com, what is it? Who are we? What do we do? I started this ministry about a year ago, and so far we've probably got close to over 80 Zoom calls. I was in a psychiatric parable for a very long time, 25 years. Psych meds, benzodiazepines, and I knew there had to be a better way, and I did find a better way. And part of the better way is to extend the miracle of emergence, which is what I have to offer. And we do many different things on these Zoom calls. It's all spirit guided. And so this one is just going to be unique like all the other 80. In order for it to be spirit guided, we got to bring spirit in these rooms. Let me pull up the healer's prayer. Let's see if I can get it on there it is. This is not about Kenneth. This is not about Jody. This is what comes through Kenneth. This is what comes through Jody. Jody's a miracle. I'm a miracle. The world needs right now, more than anything else, we need miracles. And that's why I record these. We don't have any formulas because there are no formulas. God does not operate off formulas. God operates off grace. And that's well, I've said enough. This is the healer's prayer, and it goes like this. We are here only to be truly helpful, and we are here to represent him or her. I'm tired. Him or her who sent us. We do not have to worry about what to say or what to do because he or she who sent us will direct us. We are content to be wherever he or she wishes, knowing that he or she goes there with us. And we will be healed as we let him or her teach us how to heal. Folks, I'm healing this evening. I'm healing with everyone else because that movie, I was supposed to watch that movie, and it touched so many places in my heart. Oh, I don't even know where to begin. Jody, how are you this evening? What's up, mighty companion?
I'm good. I'm going through another one of those phases where I've been through some really, really challenging times, and coming out the other side of it, I'm good. I'm so excited to hear about the movie, Kenneth. Tell us. What has this movie done for you?
Oh, you weren't here last weekend, last Wednesday. Beloved actually interviewed me. You might get another one too. Where do I start with this movie? It's a young man. He's in high school, and he's got some difficult challenges at home. His father leaves, and his mother, gets remarried. And I mean, he's at that age, 17, 18, where you're going through puberty. And so it's a difficult age anyway. And he starts to hear voices. And so he has a psychotic episode in the high school lab. And one thing leads to another, and they present him with pills. And this is how the movie starts, and this is the theme of the whole movie. His struggle, pills, no pills, voices, are they real? And I think what got to me more than anything else, Jody, was he felt that people were out to get him. And that's the part that touched the chord the most. Because that's been part of my illness, is the belief that others are out to get me, which sent me into a whole spiral of going back into my past and trying to dig into my childhood, which actually exacerbated the problem. The reason the movie I know, beloved, she told us to watch it for a reason. You get to the end, and it's no different from the message in this ministry, Jody. It's the love that healed.
Mm.
It's not rocket science. Why? Kind of sad, Jody, that it's taken. And I know, don't you might call me out on this, but hear me out. It's taken me 55 years to let love in. And I said this in other Zoom calls. That's what I feared the most. And part of my mental illness is trying to figure it all out. That's mental illness. And that goes back to, you and I, our coaching discussions. In the present moment, there's no need to figure it out anymore. And, I can pop out of it right here and right now. If I just have the courage to surrender all these stories that stories are mental illness. I'm sorry. All stories are mental illness because none of them are true. There was I don't know, were you here on Sunday when someone brought up the topic of reality?
I think I was there on Sunday.
The biggest gift that David Hoffmeister has given me is to firmly, and I believe him, I trust him. We all trust him, all of us in this community. He's firmly convinced us that this is not reality. And that's been more helpful than anything else. Because if it's not reality, then I can. No, it wasn't him. It was Dale Crow. I'll get to Dale Crow in a minute. But if this is not reality, then I can start to have fun with it. If this is not reality, then it's just a gameplay, and I don't need to take it seriously. If this is just reality, then I just get to be the puppet master, operating the strings, and it doesn't matter what happens. Without that fear of this mattering, you've heard this. You see my website. Fear is mental illness. Without the fear, we can't be mentally ill either. All these things. You and I always go deep.
Yeah.
Probably why we found each other. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to sugarcoat it because it hurt. But that's just what we talked about on Sunday. We got to, in order to heal it, we got to feel it. And it hurts. And I'm glad it hurts because it means I'm defrosting and it means I'm coming back to life. Thank you for the hurt. Thank you, beloved, for the movie. Now, your turn. I've already gone on for 15 minutes. If nothing else, the people can just see us smiling, laughing, and giggling there.
Have you seen A Beautiful Mind? That movie was really helpful on my journey. I'm going to watch this, Words on a Bathroom Wall. Where did you find it? Is it a Netflix movie or?
It's actually free on. I just did Amazon Prime. Something
Oh,
I
good.
don't even know what Amazon Prime is, but I googled it and it came up for free.
I have that.
Look on I posted a link on the Psychiatric Sobriety Facebook page.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Because I'm living here. I've been doing this 4-week construction project for Living Miracles, and Jody, I'm projecting all over the person who's stewarding this. I'm watching my mind project because she's loving me. This is how deep my mental illness goes. Someone set this up. They needed, and thank God they needed a bathroom so I can keep busy, because I got to keep busy because someone's loving me. And building a bathroom's easy. Letting someone love me is hard. What's the angle? What does she want from me? Let's go down the list.
What's the catch?
What's the catch?
Yeah.
This is humbling. 55 years old, and to let someone, I can put on a goddamn good show, but by the time a man gets to this place in life, you're running out of ego steam. I can't play that role anymore of Mr. I'm all assembled and I've got it all together. I've never been assembled. I've never had it all together. It's all been an act, and I'm a damn good actor, but I'm tired, and I can't keep up the act anymore. And I gotta let someone in. I gotta let myself receive it. It's the end of my mental illness story, and it's, it's the beginning of the present. It's the reason it's called the present. The present.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can go into all the metaphysics, and and that's what we do. That's what I've been doing here for almost a year. But maybe this time I just get goddamn honest, and this is where the rubber hits the road, is the love. It hurts Jody because she's not the first one who's she's not the first one. She's probably about the 99th. But this time I don't have anywhere to run, and I've got to sit and let it burn through. This is and trust me, this is a cold burn. This is, and I will use the word burn because, yeah, this is burning away all those defense mechanisms that I had. So, and they'll go back to childhood, of course. Children build walls and defenses. It's time to grow up, and it's time to grow up and shed that, those adolescent coping mechanisms. They've been. I mean, they're. I mean, you and I have talked about that. It's worthiness. Thank God. If it ended up in this bathroom, I would have run, because if she's going to love me, then there's got to be some reciprocity here. I mean, at least I've got to give them a $65 an hour gratuitous gift if she's going to love someone as. See, I felt so unworthy. This is what I'm facing. This is what healing looks like. I'm glad I'm getting this recorded. Put it all out on YouTube. Because if I can put it out there, it's, well, that's the end. Those pills, and in this movie, he was. I'd be interested to hear your take on this movie. The voices were, they were fearful voices. My take on the movie was the young man was just hurting and frightened and scared of abandonment. That's what I was. Ultimately, I was abandoned by my parents. What parents don't abandon their kids? Parents can't. Parents have to abandon. The mother bird has to kick her kids out of the nest. They have to. But that goes to the message of this ministry: is the only one that's not going to abandon us and can't abandon us is God. And her love is not coming from reciprocity. Her love's coming from God. I'm in a spiritual community. It doesn't. Fought it for most of my life, Jody. If I could just hold on to that, if I could hold on to that chip on my shoulder, look what the Christian, it was all about Christianity, what the Christians have done, but that chip on my shoulder was I mean, if I'm going to have that chip on my shoulder, I better have a handful of psych meds. I'm going to need them. It's 20 minutes. Now it's your turn.
I'm reading one of the really great books I'm reading right now is it's called The Mastery of Self. And it's the second book I've written in this, or read, the second book I've read. Haven't written it, I've read it. The first one, it's all about Toltec wisdom. And this is ancient shamanism. And I don't know where it originates from, where it's the Amazon or Peru or where, but it's Toltec wisdom, the mastery of self, and they talk about the dream world. This is the dream world. And it's important. So one of the, it's important to, once you recognize that, it's important to keep remembering it. And one of the analogies that they started the book with was like this party, that you imagine you're at a party and everybody is intoxicated. And so this is the analogy that they're using for this dream world that we find ourselves awakening in. And so just like imagine, and I wish I could remember more of that analogy right now, because it went on, it was a whole paragraph of just like using this party where all of the party goers, except you're the only sober one. And you have to, so using that lens, like recognize that they're all behaving accordingly. And yeah, it was, so it's just fascinating. I love the different, each wisdom theory technique, you know, all of these different things, they've all got their own little take on what's really going on here. And there's so many similarities. And so I like this lens of, you know, the dream world or the party where everybody's intoxicated. It really helps me to just like not engage with the drama that's out there. Because right now in my journey, there's a lot of drama coming at me. And so I just have to keep recognizing like that it's not my job to get caught up in the drama. It's my job to actually like stay out of that drama. I don't see it as going back into my mental illness. I just see it as being aware of that drama and not to get sucked back into it. And that's an uphill battle. Every day, there's a lot of awareness and just like, wow, being aware and not judging those who are lost in the dream.
Lost in space.
Yeah, because we're all on a journey. We're all going to wake up when we're meant to wake up. We're all going to heal when we're meant to heal. There's no set timeline for it. We're all individually on a journey. I'm also reading this other really great book right now called You Are the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And it's fascinating how powerful we are. So when I first came into this community, I thought of myself as a healer, and I think of myself as all of these things. And you know, you watched this movie last night that touched you and has changed you. Well, I read this book and I'm like, holy crap, it changes everything. What a fascinating dream world we're in.
I kind of get the sense, Jody, that you and I have a very similar story. When I started waking up, it was one of those exponential curves. I started devouring. I mean, just beginning, you know, the mastery of self, Toltec wisdom, you know, the work of Joe Dispenza. I couldn't get enough, and it was a terribly good sign. The other thing that I'll bring up is part of the reason I'm so tired. Well, I'm always tired. It's a good tired, but I've been on the road for 250 miles. I drove all the way down to Lancaster, Ohio to meet, finally got to meet Dale Crow today. He's my friend in prison. We've been exchanging letters for 4 years. Do you know about Dale Crow? I don't know. He didn't. His letters are on my website. Dale Crow was a famous prize fighter 25 years ago. And he murdered his best friend. And he's served 18 of a 20-year sentence. And he had a miracle in prison. And he found the Course in Miracles. and he's turned maximum security prison into his ashram monastery.
Mhm.
We've been exchanging letters for over 4 years. I don't even have the complete list on my website. I actually published our correspondence in a book. And, you know, I had never met the man. I never met him, never talked to him, but, you know, the letters, because we're both going through this. What we're both doing together is the work together, the self-forgiveness, you know, just like what we talk about, you know, he's, in order to forgive himself for his crime, which he has fully admitted to, and he has fully taken 110% responsibility down to the amends as best a person ever possibly can. He said, I've got to start over. I've got to do Control Alt Delete. I've got to do a reset. And he said, I've got to use my full mind to reverse engineer myself so that this never happens again. So the truth, I sat with this man for an hour and a half. It was, I drove, you know, 2.5 hours to Lancaster, Ohio, and I had to wait in the waiting room. I had to, it's taken me 2 months just to get a visitor's pass. You know, I had to fill out paperwork, driver's license, and they do background check. And so I went through a metal detector, went through, you know, these barred gates, handed my visitor's pass, got escorted to another door where they wait for a red light, push it open, then go to another guard, and then they told me to go down to table number 6, wait. Well, another guard brought him in, and we had to sit across from each other. He's out of maximum because of his good behavior, so we don't have to have the plexiglass anymore. What inspired me the most about, well, I can't say what inspired me the most, was his first time I ever got to meet him. Big guy, got to be 6'6". He was a prize fighter, for Christ's sake. He's huge. His complete humility and transparency and honesty, and he takes no credit for being any sort of a spiritual teacher whatsoever. Although if you read his work, you would think this man, you know, would be on the spiritual circuit. Not. He said, I'm the second visitor he's had in 18 years. First one is the minister. Second one is his sister came to visit him a few times. You know, what it was like to visit him was almost surreal. It's hard for me to describe, because I was exhausted and I was grumpy. I don't like driving. I didn't sleep well last night. It was 130 miles to get there. But sitting down in his presence changed all of that, because, you know, he still talks like a prize fighter, you know, and I'm this consummate, you know, intellect. So no, he talks like a prize fighter, talks like a homie. But you know, but just to be in his presence, I didn't get a spiritual lecture, which is what I've been getting a lot of. You know, obviously, if you live in spiritual communities, you get a lot of metaphysical correction, etc. You know, and I'm learning, you know, to roll. I'm learning how to let people, you know, lecture me on my metaphysical vocabulary. I didn't get any of that shit from him. I got raw openness. You know, he said, Kenneth, he said, my mind, he admitted, he said, my mind's a jumble, garbled, daily assignment that I have to work on. He said, every single man that I'm in front of, you know, every day for the last 18 years is my mirror. And while he was admitting to me what a fragmented, incomplete soul of a man he was, I'm getting I'm getting bombarded with an energy that cannot be described, called love.
Mm.
I want that documented for this YouTube archive. Here we are, Jody, and I'm I'm in the middle of it, thinking I know something, believing I've got, the truth is, what we don't know anything. And I sense this from this is why this ministry is so dear to me. Every single person in here has been completely obliterated. And now I know why that makes David Hoffmeister smile. I know why that makes him smile. Because once the dream character has been obliterated, fill in the blanks, the dream character gets obliterated. Now what? Now, what's under the dream character? What's the dream character hiding, concealing? Surprise! It's me. The only suffering is when we're trying to hold on to something that's impermanent. I mean, Dale and I were laughing. I was looking out the window, just seeing, 30 feet of barbed wire. And I said, Dale, are you finding this comical? And he says, yeah, I've been finding this comical. I said, they honestly believe that you're in here and they're out there, and that will keep them safe from you. And he just started busting up laughing, Jody. People believe that Dale is in here and he's dangerous and we're out here and we're safe. That has got to be the cosmic joke, because the Dale that I met is everywhere. He said, hey, Kenneth, yeah, he goes, well, I go, I don't know how we got to talking about, his release date. He goes, oh, I think it's July 2025. He goes, I don't care. I don't care when he gets out. Because he knows that when he gets out, he's going to be in. He knows when he's in, he's out. He knows he's already in and out. He's gone so far beyond that. But he's described to me in these letters what it took to get there. One of the words we used, we called it the burn. You see why I use the word grace in this ministry. It was grace that brought us together. I thought my burn was a psychiatric mental illness. No. It was a purification rite of passage. He had no way to escape the burn in prison. He had to allow the burn. He couldn't go running, I mean, he got it quicker than most of us, because, I can still run, even after the psychiatric parable, I was still running. I told everybody I run to the baths, get some anonymous sex, or I run to the refrigerator, I get some food, or I can fill in the blank of my addiction to avoid the burn itself. But this man was just, I'm only going to go back to being in his presence. I don't know. All he did was he had to say yes. I don't know. How simple is that? He had to. We could end this madness overnight if we all just trusted enough to say yes to what is right now. I'm going to some of the metaphysics, things should be different than the way they are. All the wisdom teachers have told us that. It goes right back to the Toltec wisdom, it's just the mastery of self. But remember, I mean, the two selves, the dream character self and the truth of the self. Just, all of us, Jody, we're just too old and too tired to get back on stage. It's time to retire and become the observer. Dale and I said the same thing. He said, it's funny. This is synchronistic because we must have been both in the same wavelength. He said, yeah, for the rest of my life, I'm just going to be coasting downhill. And I was staring at him like this. And I said, Dale, do you realize I said that in my very last Zoom call? I said, now that I quit smoking, I probably got another 35 years left on, in this spacesuit planet. I said, I'm too tired to try and become a somebody. I'm going to reverse and allow the nobody, which, that's when the law of attraction kicks in. Can't be, the law of attraction doesn't work when you're trying to become somebody, because it works because it's a resonant. Law of attraction only works when it comes from the heart. And I mean, it depends upon what you want to manifest. If you want to manifest things, you can use the intellect, but if you want to manifest love, that's a little bit too deep. I'll leave that up to Drumbolo Melchizedek. He can explain it better.
Well, I think you touched on something really good there. I mean, you touched on many things really good there, but something I'd like to jump on that I hoped to jump on last Sunday, but we didn't get to it. And that is this, because the Sunday before we talked about how the emperor moth and how the struggle is so essential. But a lot of people, I think, and I used to be one of them, mistake the struggle for suffering. And there's and so what I wrote down when we were talking about that I was hoping to touch on in another call was that pain is inevitable. The struggle that we go through, the pain of it, the pain of the growth, the pain of what you're going through right now, that's inevitable and important and necessary. But it's the suffering that's not.
Oh, I'm glad you caught that. I didn't catch that. That adds clarity to the parable, because I actually named that video the parable of the emperor moth.
And you're right. I went back to listen to that to make sure that I was saying the word struggle, not suffer, because the suffering isn't necessary. The suffering is actually an option. The struggle.
You're fighting the same thing I do, Jody. Now it is so essential to be, the words are so delicate at this point. We got to refine the words. No, it pain and not struggle. No, you're right. I've tried to use the word, the eye of the needle, which is as close as I've come. But I like pain is inevitable, and that the emperor moth explains the dynamics of pain versus suffering. I don't have the full picture in my head, but I think together we're able to. I think together we're both in the same wavelength and moving in that direction.
What I wanted to talk about is that the suffering is an option, and that's because the way I understand it is suffering is the resistance of what is. So you're in pain right now because you're working through this stuff, you're in your struggle, and that's the inevitability of it. There's a struggle, and sometimes it's painful. But if you allow yourself to go into the suffering, like I can be in pain and not suffer. I learned that over the summer when I went through those 2 infections, the health crises I went through in the summer. There was a lot of pain involved in there, but I wasn't suffering. And that's because I wasn't in resistance to what was. Before that experience, I was in a lot of resistance to what was all over the place. And so I was taking my pain and my struggle and turning it into my suffering. I was doing that to myself.
I would add to that and I hope you're going to agree with me, you were doing that to yourself unconsciously.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, here's where the two paths meet. Because you and I talk about it. We're totally different, but we're amazed that we're in unison on this. Because thank you for bringing that up. When I resisted my pain, I gave myself my mental illness. That is how simple it is. And that is my discovery. This heartache that I'm going through is not a problem to be solved. It is an experience to be had. This is my rite of passage. It was a misunderstanding. I don't have any better description other than a misunderstanding. A belief got torqued in my childhood, and it gave me this very colorful psychiatric parable. Now, the play has come to an end. Bravo, bravo! You thought you were mentally ill. Bravo! You thought you were Kenny. Bravo! You thought you, and it goes deep. Bravo for all of us. That's what it takes to heal from mental illness. It's an all or nothing. We got to get off the stage and see that we're not the ones. Thank you for bringing that up. And I got to add this to that too. I've known this intellectually my whole life. I've been a spiritual seeker, for decades. But I wasn't supposed to get it until my 50s. That's the other component that takes us off the hook. My timeline had this in my 50s. The script was already written. This is important. People want to wake up now. What I would prefer to hear is, I want to make peace with what is now, rather than say I want to wake up now. Redefinition of waking up, saying, I love that I'm on stage. I love that I'm still playing this dream character. Isn't this fascinating? We got to make peace with it. That's the struggle, is saying I want to get off the stage and wake up. No. I love being on stage. I love being on stage. And the director will take one look at you and say, you're a horrible actor. Get off stage. How about that? That's the way to piss off the director, is to see through the disguise. But first, we got to make peace with it and not struggle. Go back into struggling every day. Of course I do. Back on stage. Come on. Can I have a little bit more drama? Why are you doing this to yourself? I don't know. Maybe I unconsciously want to suffer. I don't know. But Dale brought that up today. We talked about it. We had an hour and a half laser beaming. He wasn't giving me, he doesn't have YouTube. He doesn't have all these, he doesn't have Zoom. He doesn't even know what Zoom is. He's been in, Zoom, they didn't have Zoom 18 years ago when they locked him up. He doesn't have all this. He does have the Course in Miracles and a few other spiritual books, but he just sat with it long enough that he couldn't do it anymore. And he was still here, and he had to ask himself, who's the one that's still here? He didn't have access to, all these Muji satsangs, but he had to sit with it long enough. No. So, those of us who have Want to add to that, or just? I don't know. I don't know what else to say. It's kind of like, I wrote somewhere, probably on one of my blogs, the moment I made peace with my insomnia, I fell asleep.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, I've read all these great, I spent my whole life trying to forgive my father. Good luck trying to forgive. And I finally just kind of surrendered and said, I surrendered. That I think that was the struggle. That was part of. I mean, we can have physical pain. We can also have the emotional struggling to forgive. Because this dream character called Kenneth, well, he can't forgive. Dream characters can't forgive. When I waking up is realizing who I am, doesn't need to forgive because nothing went wrong. That's just it kind of like, I'll tell this story. When I was about 13 years old, my father had this parking lot in downtown Santa Ana, and next to it was another parking lot where they, those traveling carnivals, where you got a Ferris wheel, and you've got, you see them all over. They put them in supermarket, parking lots there, and they run for about a week, and it's just these traveling carnivals. They're done. They put the Ferris wheel on a semi, and they take it to the next location. Well, somebody had done that next to my father's parking lot in downtown Santa Ana, and somebody called my father and said, "Mr. Price, I think someone's stealing your electricity." So we drove down there, and sure enough, there was a great big giant, extension cord that ran from the carnival through my father's, roll up door and right into his parking lot. They were stealing his electricity. So my father, he walked up, and my mom's in the truck. "Steve, don't do it, Steve, don't." My father, he pulls the plug. The carnival stops. This whole booth stops. The booth. Well, imagine if he had pulled the plug on the entire carnival. And that's how I picture this. It's waking up is pulling the plug on our own carnival. The carnival rides we have. I mean, those Ferris wheels. That's our drama. The roller coaster. That's wee roller coaster. Stop and get some cotton candy, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, I'm getting sick. Blah, you barf from the motion sickness. Carnival. Those of us who have gotten so sick from the carnival, we just leave and pull the plug. Go home. The hard part is that a lot of people haven't. I don't know. I'm not going to say good, bad, right, wrong, because that's outside of this conversation. But some people will take themselves out. We talked about suicide more than once, so I'm not afraid. Because once you think that we truly have been taught to believe if we're under the belief this is all there is. But if you can stick it out after the carnival's been unplugged, that's when, after the carnival stops, there's a momentary delay, but that's when the new operating system comes online.
Mm.
No mental illness in the new operating system. It's the reboot. we intuitively know once we've been rebooted. You know, it's an intuitive knowing. We just know. Dale just knew this evening that he had been rebooted. He tried to explain it a few times. He goes, "I'm not explaining it very well." And I said, "Dale, I hear every word you're saying. And it doesn't need to use all this. I could feel it. It's been rebooted." I don't know what else to say. Not, I could go back to, my common script, and I told him, I said, I used some of my psychiatric sobriety language with him as if he really needed it. I said, yeah, you've been rebooted, not in spite of your crime, but because of it.
Mm-hmm. That was his emergence vehicle.
If you go back, our correspondence is probably 200 pages long, and that's not the full entirety of it. That's only about 2/3 of it. But he said that almost every single one of his letters. He knows that. The last part I wanted to bring up was I shared with him the movie. You're familiar with Khalil Gibran, The Prophet? Well, I thought you knew that. It's a famous book Khalil, which I'll send you the link. There was an animation, a cartoon that was made of Khalil Gibran's The Prophet, and it was the Dale Crowe story. Dale Crowe's story has, very once in a while, you get somebody who popped out. Like Nelson Mandela, in prison. And this movie was also about a man who was in prison. But the message was, a little girl had come to visit him in prison and said, "Don't you want to get out?" And the man looked at her and said, "They can't imprison me. That's ridiculous. What makes you think they can imprison me?" And she goes, but you're behind bars." And he said, "No, I'm not. I'm not behind bars." I was looking at it, when I was watching it I was excited with the movie, and the friend that I invited to come watch it with me kind of looked at me funny. She felt I'd gone a little bit off the rails. This is probably the best news for us, Jody. That this is damn good. It's almost too good to be true. That everything we thought was going wrong, and 100% was just the opposite. Everything we thought was what's beautiful, Jody, is that you and I chose to stay in the game. And if I can offer any service to this world, it's just that message. Don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle. Don't take yourself out. You won't get judged if you take yourself out. Nothing's going to go wrong, but you don't want to miss the prize. And you and I have recorded enough Zooms together that we've fully documented a prize. It's only getting better for both of us. Sky's the limit. How does that sound? We're not going to need all these. I love that we're doing all this work. I love it, but remember, we're not going to need it. It's going to be second nature. It's all going to come through us. Dale has the Course in Miracles, and he doesn't even need that anymore. It's just coming out of him. It's who he is. It's funny, they asked him, they said, I don't know, somebody approached him and said, somebody in the staff, I surmise, said, "Mr. Crowe, you're going to be getting out in July of 2025. You've got to start making plans. You've got to start." He started laughing. I'm so glad he's laughing. He said, ma'am, I don't make plans. No, I don't. I said, no. He doesn't. And that's why this is such a hard, you know, yeah. That's where this becomes, yeah, we don't make plans. I'm going to have to stop there because, as you can tell from what I've been doing, I'd be a hypocrite if I tried to sound wise around that, because I got to plan every step. But maybe here's where I want to go. I don't make plans. I'm being planned. That's what I want to say. I am being planned. And I think that's where Dale was going. Dale's not going to make plans because he's being planned. There. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he needs will appear when it's needed. And when it's not needed, he knows not to hold on. I mean, that is the end of, you gotta have security in this world. Yep, right back into mental illness. So how was that for a Zoom call? I did most of the talking. I don't know, maybe I needed to. I just needed to express, because I was so sad from that movie, but good. Still grieving that's what I told Dale. I said, Dale, we're grieving the loss of our dream character. You can't just jump off stage. That's ridiculous. Oh, the dream's over. I'm enlightened. Don't work that way. Mine doesn't, and his doesn't either. I got to grieve the loss. It's kind of a bitter. I don't want to use the word bittersweet. It's pretty sad that I invested 55 years believing I'm a human being. I mean, it's kind of sad. Kind of oh well. Kind of a relief sort of sadness. Sublime. That's a good word. How's that? But I don't know, I can hear music now. It ain't coming from the radio. Okay, can I wrap up the recording? You want to add something? You gotta know. Okay, this is Kenneth Price, and this is Wednesday, November 3rd, and this is the 37th midweek Zoom call for the ministry I'm hosting, psychiatricsobriety.com. Jody, you're an angel for coming on and letting me say whatever came out. I have no idea what came out, but because of you, it came out. Thank you for the love, Jody. Thank you. I'm too tired to go on the diatribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave your comments below. We do 2 Zoom calls a week. We do one at 9 a.m. Pacific time on Sundays, one at 5 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesdays. I'm too tired to keep going, so God bless, and may the force be with you.